There are over 400,000 children in foster care in the United States each year, and over 1,800 children in foster care in Idaho alone. Most of these children are victims of abuse or neglect at the hands of their parents. Over 3 million children are abused each year. 50% of abused children are younger than 3 years old. And 90% of children who die from abuse are under the age of 1. Most of us cannot imagine hurting a child. Most of us cannot imagine something in our lives more important than taking care of our own child. But there are many reasons why parents do abuse or neglect their children. Sometimes it's just because their child won't stop crying. Sometimes it's because they get frustrated with potty training. Sometimes it's because an alcoholic parent gets fired from a job and they come home and take that out on their family. Sometimes it's because a mother is abused by her partner and she can't make contact with her family and the stress is too much for her and she can't take care of her children anymore. Sometimes it's because parents have an eviction notice and the stress becomes too much. Sometimes a parent is disrespected by somebody else and they come home and take it out on their children. No matter the reason, there are children out there hurting and crying and even dying because of their parents. So what can you do about it? These children are going to suffer lasting psychological, mental, emotional, physical, and mental damage because of what their parents have done. And just a day, a week, or even a year isn't a long enough time for them to heal and recover. One thing to consider is to become a foster parent. Being a foster parent is a full-time, all-in commitment. And you may think that it would require a lot of special training and certification. But the fact is, most children in foster care have come from homes where their basic needs were not met. Food, clothing, shelter, safety, and love. As a foster parent, you simply need to be able to provide these things for these children. If you can provide a safe home with 3 meals a day and love the children, then that's enough. Now, you may feel as a foster parent that you don't have the room in your life to help these children. You may feel like these children will never fully recover from what they've been through, and you're probably right. In the time that they're with you, you may not see much of a difference, but as long as you do your best and you can provide a home for them, then that's enough. So decide if you are willing to take in a foster child, or 2, or 10. Decide what works for your family. Research local laws and procedures and figure out what you need to do next. Now, the thing to understand with foster care is that it's a temporary placement. These children most likely are going to go back to their biological parents. Ideally, their parents will get their lives back on track, they'll figure things out, and they'll be able to have their children again. It can be hard to see these children go when you've come to love them, but it's worth loving them anyway. When you have a foster child in your home, making them feel safe and loved is the most important thing you can do. Now, there are a lot of reasons to not become a foster parent. I've heard them all. I don't have time. It would be so hard for me to see children going through that. It would be so hard for me to love a child and then let them go. It would be so hard for me to see a child go back to their parents when I know what their parents have done. I don't know if I have room in my life for a child like that. These are valid concerns. I get that, and I've had some of these concerns myself. But I want you to consider something. When you think about how hard it would be for you to be a foster parent, think about how hard it would be to sit in a corner, hungry, forgotten, and dirty while you watch your mom party with her friends without giving you a single thought. Think how hard it would be to watch your father beat your mother and have an inner battle deciding if you want to do something because the last time you stepped in, he broke your wrist and it's never healed properly. Think how hard it would be to go days on end without food, without water, without basic hygiene, like diaper changes and baths. Think how hard it would be to be born on meth and have to suffer the lifelong consequences of your mother's poor decisions. These children need you. You may not be able to be a foster parent, but if you can, consider it. No matter how hard it is for you, it's probably been harder for them. And they're 2 or 6 or 12. They need you. Now, if you're like me, you can't be a foster parent right now. I have been invested in foster care since I was 16. I knew people who did foster care, and I had a strong attachment to the children that they fostered. And I knew from that time that I wanted to be a foster mom someday. But right now, I'm a full-time student. I work a couple of jobs. I live in an apartment with roommates, and I can't afford my own place. I can't realistically take in foster children right now. But what I can do is be a CASA. A CASA is a court-appointed special advocate for children. And basically the role of a CASA is to be a voice for the child. When a foster care case opens, there are a lot of different people involved, and a lot of them are there to help the parents get back on the right track. And sometimes in the middle of it, the child's voice can get lost. As a CASA, your role is to make sure that child's needs and interests are heard and represented. After a 30-hour training that takes place over about the course of a month, it's only a 5 to 10 hour a month commitment, so anyone can do it. Even with my busy life and my busy schedule, I make time to be a CASA. These children need you. There are children being abused and neglected in their homes right now. There are children in foster care who don't feel heard because their caseworker doesn't take the time to listen to them. There are children in foster care right now who feel worthless and unloved because they can't find foster parents who are able or even willing to take them. You can be the difference for these children. Decide what you can do today and do it. Thank you.
Wave to the camera.